Hey guys, I hope you can hear me okay. Today, 22nd of April, is Earth Day. And if you've not heard of Earth Day, it's a day of environmental and climate action. And it's connected with the environmental movement started in America. In fact, today is the 50th anniversary of when it started. 22nd of April 1970 it started, and that environmental movement was it's been given a lot of credit for forcing the US to come up with their own environmental protection agency. And every year on this day, it's now a worldwide thing, is Earth Day, and it looks at just getting, hiya Ryan, happy Earth Day to you too. It looks at getting people to take action to protect the environment. So the point of this video, as you can tell by the haircut, I am no Greta Thunberg. She's got beautiful hair. I haven't. It's all been shaved off. I believe this is called a Corona cut. Anyhow, the point of this video is to identify that we're gardeners. Well, we are people with an interest in growing stuff, whether it's just plants for ornamental reasons. You might be into house plants, or whether you grow your own food, where you've got a little food forest, like a little dirt never hurt, and myself, and I know many more of you have as well. Whether you've got an allotment that you break your back digging over, or you've got raised beds, you're going down the no dig route. We all grow stuff. So, as people that are into growing things, what can we do for Earth Day to take action to protect the environment and the climate as well? So, I've had a few ideas, and I've got one or two examples of each. Now, what I'd love is, hey, Pag, you okay? What I would love is if those of you that see this video, if you join in either the live chat section, if you're watching it as it's going out live, or if you leave a comment underneath, if you're later on to the party, give me your examples of how you do what you do for the two or three main ideas I've got written down here. So the first idea of how we can take action, which was going to help the environment and the climate, is just grow something, anything, just grow something, right? A plant of some description. Outside, preferably, for reasons which I'll explain in a very short while. So wherever you live, just plant something, and don't think to yourself, oh, I live on the 10th floor and high-rise block of flats. No, it doesn't work like that. You've got a window, haven't you? You can get just even an empty, cleaned out margarine tub, right? Put a few handfuls of compost in. You can grow cress, or you can grow some herbs on a windowsill. A lot of high-rise flats, well, I say a lot. Some high-rise flats have a balcony that they have access to. You can put some pots on there and start growing things. So don't think you have to be part of the landed gentry to be able to grow something. You don't have to have a 4-acre homestead. You can do this pretty much anywhere, right? What have I written about it? So, by people far better than me, although my qualification has got the word environmental in it, my degree is in environmental health. It's about people washing their hands and not licking stuff that doesn't belong to them. It's not environmental science, which looks at more like climate and that kind of thing. So environmental scientists, not environmental health, what I do, I just tell people to wash their hands. Environmental scientists have done studies that prove it's not just me saying this. Go and do your own research. The research has already been done by people far cleverer than me. It proves that plants in urban areas bring down the overall temperature in those areas, right? There's lots of reasons. They've studied this in quite some depth, but the main reason is there's less solar thermal energy being reflected off and absorbed by and released slowly overnight by things like brick and concrete buildings. Because having plants there, they absorb the energy from the sun instead. So it brings down the overall temperature, reduces the climate. Now we're talking in fractions of fractions here, but if more and more people did it, it would actually all add up and make a difference. So my first idea is just grow something, right? Have you got any examples of how you do that? How do you grow something in your space that's available to you, wherever that may be? You're right, Ryan. Homegrown veg is such a huge benefit to the garden community with his small space growing. Yeah, he is the man for small space growing. Crops in pots, that is his domain. He's good at that here on YouTube. That's a good idea. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Old gardener guy. Guerrilla gardening. Now, I'm not quite sure on the legalities of it, so you might necessarily not want to get involved in doing it yourselves. However, there are people. The name that springs to mind is a chap called Ron Finley, I think it is. He lives in what used to be known as South Central LA. I believe they've changed the name recently to try and remove some of the stigma attached to that part of Los Angeles. But he is like the king of guerrilla gardeners. If you've never heard of him, I can highly recommend you just go and look for him on YouTube. He's done a few TED Talks. There's been documentaries made about him. Look at the impact of how he grows. Look at how the impact of him growing stuff and making other people grow stuff. Look how it's changed people's lives for the better. Not just people's lives. He's doing that fraction of a fraction thing. He's turning unused, unloved spaces in LA into a garden. He's putting plants where plants didn't exist, right? Which is going to benefit the environment. So keep putting your ideas down, guys. How can you just basically, first idea, grow something. How can we grow more? Think limitations as well. As I said earlier, not everybody's part of the landed gentry. We don't all live in country estates. So be creative. How can we work with limitations that we have to just grow more? And guerrilla gardening is an excellent suggestion. I love it. Right, next idea. Use what you've already got. It cuts down on waste. In terms of being a gardener, right? Use what you've already got. So, for example, I think I showed you in a recent video from the allotment. I cut the ends off. Yes, I did show you. It was the one where I took my underpants up to the plot. And if you've not seen that video, you've missed out there. Right, so I took some underpants up. I was playing around in my greenhouse with them, these underpants, and then also I used them to clean last year's dried soil and dust and cobwebs off a load of plastic bottles that I cut the ends off. Once I've cut the ends off, I used them as mini cloches to protect small seedlings. So that way, I know it's one less plastic bottle or several, however many you do it with, that goes into landfill or gets incinerated. And when you burn plastics, because they're made from hydrocarbons and everything, it's not good for the air in the environment. And when they get into landfill, they don't necessarily get buried straight away. They can get blown off into water courses, rivers, streams, then they find their way into the sea. And plastic never really breaks down. It just gets into smaller and smaller pieces. If you were to put them all together, they'd still be there. It takes years for plastic to fully break down with things like exposure to ultraviolet light, i.e. sunshine. So until that process happens, it's just sitting there in the environment. And we've all seen the documentaries about what happens when plastic gets into the sea. So my example is I reuse plastic bottles as mini cloches. Now you might be thinking, if you cut the ends off though, aren't they going to get thrown in the bin? No, because you've got a couple of inches worth of a plastic cup which form the bottom of the bottle, it makes a perfect little plant pot to start some seedlings off it. Or again, cress, just grow cress in it. Do you know, keep it on your windowsill, splash of water every few days, a couple of cress seeds, handful of compost in the pot. Every time you have a sandwich, you can have your own grown cress on it. And it's one less piece of plastic that's been turned into waste. So that's my idea. Use what you've already got. What ideas have you got in the comments, guys, for using what you've already got? Hey, Dan, you all right? Dan's Kitchen Garden Allotments. Recycle plastic, all gardener guy. Yep, I just mentioned that myself. Absolutely spot on. Compost kitchen waste. You're using what you've already got. So you're creating a waste product in your kitchen. Potato peelings, carrot peelings, if you peel carrots. Some do, some don't. Whatever floats your boat. Veg peelings then, okay? Some people would just throw them into their normal rubbish bin. Compost them. It's really not difficult to start making your own compost. Don't worry about the smell. If it smells, you're not doing it right. So find out how to do it right. And it's actually not difficult to do it. Use YouTube. It's an amazing resource. It's like a library that talks and moves, is YouTube. It's, you know, there's all kinds of different videos about different ways of making your own compost. So that's a way of using what you've already got. A product from your kitchen, rather than just throwing it away and turning it into waste, which could have an impact on the environment, because there's nothing necessarily harmful about onion skin, right? It's not really going to damage the environment. But to take that onion skin to a landfill site requires a big diesel wagon, a bin wagon. Okay, so we can cut down on the amount of use or necessity for big heavy lorries. And then it's not just the bin wagons. I've got nothing against bin men. I used to be a bin man, believe it or not. On that landfill site or in recycling plant, wherever, you're going to have things like earth movers, the caterpillar ones, with buckets and shovels on. That you know what I mean, don't you? Like big JCB things that pick stuff up en masse and put it into holes and dig holes out, and they all use diesel. So let's try and cut down on that. My third idea. Oh, hang on. Dan's Kitchen Garden Allotments. I always reuse the meat trays. Yes, that come from work. Really handy for starting off seeds. You're absolutely spot on there. I've used a few of them myself. Hello, Arkansas Woodcutter. Listening while driving. Keep your eyes on the road. Okay. Be safe. Clunk click every trip and all that. So my third idea, and I'd love it if you guys gave me some examples. I know we could probably spend a full month of live streaming just talking about this one between all of your collective knowledge. So just get firing the examples into the chat on the live stream. Third idea, grow some of your own food. It cuts down on the fossil fuels used to transport food grown on a large scale to supermarkets. Now, it wouldn't put farms out of business if more of us started growing our own food, because unless you've got like a huge amount of growing space, it's actually pretty difficult without a lot of available space to become self-sufficient in food. You're still going to need to buy food to eat, but just growing a little bit of your own, it's that fraction of a fraction thing again. If we all did it, fractions add up to whole numbers. Yeah, and it will have an impact on the environment in a couple of ways. One, a positive impact that it'll have is on your environment in your growing space by having plants there. A kale plant, for example, right? I know that there's a butterfly called the cabbage white that loves to lay its eggs on my kale plants. And then when those eggs hatch into little green caterpillars, they love to eat my kale plants. However, those green caterpillars that leave crazy holes in my kale leaves, they get eaten by birds, right? When there's birds there eating those caterpillars that the cabbage white butterfly has laid as eggs, the fact that there's birds there because you're giving them a food source, it means that they're less likely to start eating the crops that you're growing because they're eating the pests that live on your crops. So then birds are doing you a favour. You're allowing those birds to have more opportunity to be able to live because you're giving them a food source. So and these animals, they're like the stewards, if you will, of the environment. We just provide a place for them by putting plants there. The animals move in. And when I say animals, I don't mean big things with 4 legs and a tail. I'm talking about tiny insects all the way up to those big things with a tail and 4 legs. Those animals, it's all part of an ecosystem. They look after themselves. Everything's connected in nature. One thing relies on another. And if we don't have that one thing there in the first place, you're possibly having a potentially negative impact on 10, 15, 20, 30 other species by not putting a plant there. Because, like I say, everything's connected. So that's the third idea: grow some of your own food. What are your examples of how you've gone out your way to grow some of your own food? Let's have a little look. Hiya, Benny. Let's have a little look in the comments. Ryan, that is the best thing about a food forest is how everything works together. Exactly. That's what I was trying to explain. That is it. That is, look at a food forest and you'll see that cycle, that ecosystem, and how everything's connected and depends on each other. Just because you've started it off by putting some plants out in the ground, everything else comes after that, and it's actually mind-blowingly amazing. It really is. Who mentioned something about seeds? Oh, its comments moved. Oh, where have you gone? Oh, gardener guy, sharing seeds with other gardeners. Yeah, not just good because of when those seeds are grown and planted out, the effects it'll have on the environment and the climate. Not just good for that, it's also good for people to do that for other people. It's nice to be nice to other people. We're sharing things, that sort of thing. Right, what else have we got? Pag, all the way from down south. He feeds the birds and squirrels. They in turn are food for the cats. Circle of life. You've summed up what I was trying to explain before. And if I had like a pen and a whiteboard, because I'm not going to draw on my wall. I'd probably draw a circle with arrows going round there, and I'd draw really badly drawn pictures of certain animals. But it's that circle. It's what does it say about a circle? It doesn't have an end, does it? It's continuous, eternal. Well, that is our environment. We, whether the environment likes it or not, are in the world, right? And there's 2 ways it's going to go. And at the moment, it's looking like it's going the bad way. First way it can go is we can help that circle keep going round, the circle of life, the circle of the environment, of nature, of the world. We can go out of our way, not in a huge way. This isn't difficult, right? I'm talking plant one plant in your backyard. If everybody did that, my God, could you imagine the positive impacts, plural, that would have? So we can affect that either for good and help the environment continue its circle, or when we get involved, we can be doing things that have a negative impact and stop the natural order of the environment, which is pretty bad. And that's the way that things look like they're going right now today. So let's all get involved. Honestly, you don't have to go out your way. It's not difficult. It's not even really going to cost you money. It'll just cost you time. But the time you put in to growing something you get paid back in spades in different ways as well. Trust me. Most obvious way, you're putting food in your stomach, but it'll bring you happiness, it'll bring you satisfaction, contentment. You'll learn about stuff, so you're keeping your brain going. And then, as the old gardener guy Finland said before, you can share. I mean, we know what it's like as gardeners. If I say to myself, right, that space there in that bed at my allotment is enough for 4 brassicas, I'm probably going to plant 6 or 7 and start them off as seeds, like a baker's dozen, in case that some of them fail. I've got a backup plan. Now, if they don't fail and they all grow, I only need 4. I've now got 3 spare. So what do? You give them to someone. Okay, it's a really good thing to do. A little dirt never hurt. Our veg is worth so much more than money. It is, and not just the environmental benefits and climate effect of more of us growing more, whether it's food or plants, just to look at. It doesn't really matter. Just grow something. You've also, as Ryan says, you've got the mental health benefits as well. So, what other ideas have you got, guys, on Earth Day of how us as gardeners, what can we be doing to help the environment? Just keep feeding me your ideas. In the meantime, I'll also ask you, how is everyone getting on? While we're on here live chatting, how's just everyone doing with the whole lockdown? Most of the world's in lockdown at the moment. So how's everyone getting on? Are you finding a way to keep yourself going upstairs and just keep smiling? Are you all coping okay, or has anyone got any tips? So Dan from Dan's Kitchen Garden and Allotment says he's recently put a pond at the allotment that's got tadpoles in. Oh, that's fantastic. So he doesn't have to use slug pellets. Brilliant. So some of the slug pellets have got metaldehyde in. I did think a year or 2 ago there was some European Union legislation that stopped them, but then I think that was overturned. So you can now again, I might be wrong, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that slug pellets with metaldehyde are still available. Now, the problem with that substance, metaldehyde, is yes, it's really, really, really good at killing slugs. I'm not preaching, I've used it myself. I've used those blue slug pellets loads over the years, but it doesn't just kill slugs. Okay, so it gets into the slugs. What eats slugs? Things like frogs, ducks, some other birds. Okay, it then gets into them and knackers them up. It kills. It doesn't just kill the slugs. So go organic. Right, do what Dan's done. Put a bit of water out somewhere with some depth to it, enough for frogs. Don't know off the top of my head how many inches of water frogs require to do their froggy thing in, but it doesn't necessarily have to be an expensive pond. Dig a hole, sink a plastic bucket in it, and let the rain fill it up. It will amaze you what comes to that water, that pond space that you've created. If you're going to do that, just get a stick or something in the bucket that goes up to the top of the bucket at an angle. So if a mammal gets in, it's got something it can climb onto and get out, and like an escape ladder for them. But frogs are fantastic. Hello there, a privet hedge and a rickety fence gardening channel. Hello, nice to see you. So I asked, how are you getting on with the lockdown? Pag, he's still working, still walking. Go and check out Pag's Daily Hoofs, by the way. I love that canal near his house that he cuts onto. Nice little canal. That's a little oasis. Still YouTubing, still breathing, but now it's really clean air. It is clean. Have you noticed that the sky's looking extremely Manchester City blue at the moment? Less smog, less haze from particulates in the air. It's a wonderful light blue sky. What else have we got? Lady Enchantress Garden and Travel, hello. You've been leaving some very nice comments on my channel recently, thank you. Balcony gardening is keeping you sane and ensuring that the birds don't chop off the last sunflower seedling. They ate 5 out of 6. Oh, man. Benny is staying at home and working in the garden. I hope you're okay, Benny. Keep safe, stay safe. But there's nicer ways to be locked in, isn't there? You've got a garden. Sorry, not nicer ways. Worse. There's far worse ways to be stuck in your house. You've got a garden, so just enjoy your garden, Benny. A quick drink while I'm reading. Then you don't see my lips moving as I'm reading what people are putting in the chat. Oh, Dan, your wife is a nurse. Flipping heck. I bet she's busy. My word. And you're a head chef in a care home. Wow. Just hang in there, both of you. Thank you from everyone. Just hang in there. It's not going to be like this forever. It'll all be worth it in the end. It's worth it now. What you're doing is worth it now. You're helping people. You're saving people. So thank you. Just keep hanging in there, mate. Right. Any more ideas, guys, of what we can do? Well, it's Earth Day today, so it's focusing our minds on the environment. What can we do as gardeners to help protect and nurture and improve the environment? What can we do? Got any more ideas? I'll stay around for another short while, and then you can put those ideas into the chats. Yeah, Blue Star Dave's garden song, fantastic. Although, do you know what an earworm is? It's a song that gets stuck in your head and you keep singing it to yourself in your mind over and over and over again. It's really earwormed me, and it's popping in my head at the most inappropriate times when I don't want it in my head. As good a tune as it is, you can't have too much of a good thing, can't you? It's just going round and round on a repeat play in my mind. I'm gonna do. So a privet hedge and a rickety fence, as mentioned, palm oil. I'm not really going to say too much about that. I don't know an awful lot about that subject myself. I know it's an issue, but I don't know an awful lot about it. If someone that knows more than me can expand on it, that's what we're here for, isn't it? Sharing knowledge. Excuse me. Just, you've been very kind, unless I've missed cheeky comments. You've not been having a go about the haircut, which I'm very thankful for. Thank you. Because I'll be honest with you, I hate this haircut. I look like Tom Hanks in Philadelphia. It doesn't. This is not me. Only reason I've had it cut like this is because I can't get to an hairdresser as to get my normal mop on top looked after. So it's just had to all come off. So thanks for not being cheeky about it. Your hair's now the same as mine, except it's not grey. Right, you say that, Pag, but down there, I do have what I call my Gary Linekers. Do you remember when he started going grey? Started going down the sides of his head first. So, but keeping it short, I've noticed disguises it. So I kind of get away with a grey thing. Yes, full tone. Right, so palm oil. They cut down forests to grow over palm trees, and it's very unsustainable. Worse than weed killer and slug pellets, in your opinion? A privet hedge and a rickety fence. Okay, yeah. So what we're talking like a monoculture. Now, knowing what I know, monoculture is not always necessarily good for the environment. So I can see where you're coming from there, mentioning palm oil. Now, in forests, we have, what's the opposite of a monoculture? Polyculture? Is it many different species of plants? And that is better. That is better for the environment rather than just having one thing and one thing only growing in a concentrated space or a large space. Dan's kitchen garden. You look like Uncle Fester off the arms. Yeah, it's not a good look, is it, man? I feel very vulnerable and exposed. And the first time I went outside after I'd had it all shaved off, I was like, whoa! Because all I could feel was the wind blowing over my bonds. It's been like, what, 18, 19 years since I last had an haircut like this. Yep. Arkansas woodcutter, you've just popped into the shop to buy some seeds to send to a friend that can't find them locally. That's what I'm talking about. You're helping, assisting, and encouraging somebody else to grow something. Just if more people did that, if the world was greener to look at with your eyes, I don't mean green as in, oh, I recycle wine bottles. Greener, just a greener space because there's more plants in it. What a wonderful world that would be. That's a song, and I can't remember what song it's in. And anyhow, Arkansas woodcutter, I thought you was driving. I really hope you're not texting with one hand and driving with the other. Pay attention to the road. Keep safe. My word. A privet hedge and a rickety fence was having a discussion on Facebook, and they were using plastic bottles in the soil. I'm under the impression that Coke bottles aren't, or plastic bottles, I don't know if I can say trade names, aren't food grade and leach toxins. Well, in theory, yeah, all plastic bottles will leach toxins as they ever so slowly break down. However, if you're just using it as a cloche for seedlings, it's going to take years for it to start doing that, because it's only in the soil for a few weeks. As he's looking, you find out where you live what your last frost date is. Now, what I do is a few weeks before that, just to give some of the more hardier plants that I can get away with planting out before my actual last frost date, just to give them a bit of a helping hand, I use the cloth bottles, but they're literally only on there for 2 to 4 weeks. And then some of the more tender plants, they probably don't get them at all. So things like courgettes, I wouldn't plant those outside before my own personal last frost date where I live. So they don't see plastic bottles. So you're right. Yes, they will leach their constituent chemical parts into the ground eventually, but it's sort of that dose, if you will. It's about the exposure time. It's only got a short exposure time, so that's how I can justify doing it myself. You can disagree. That's absolutely fine. Even though I've got an haircut like this and I might look a bit scary, I'm actually not that bad. So you can disagree, but that's how I justify it to myself in terms of using plastic bottles stuck in my soil as a mini cloche over some seedlings. Benny, sow more than you need and give a friend some plants. I always sow too much. Don't we all, Benny? Don't we all? My one Norwegian word that I know is tack, which I think means thank you. So tack, Benny. Tack. Right, Dan. I hope work goes all right for you, mate. You're going back to work now. Keep on hanging in there. Seriously, it'll all be all right in the end. You're doing a fantastic job for people. Right. Good point, old gardener guy in Finland. It is also important. And hang on, aren't you a Leeds fan, or am I mixing you up with somebody else? Are you a Leeds United fan? Anyhow, going back to your point, it's also important to grow plants that are suitable for your environment. I need to grow short season plants, especially tomatoes. Or for those of you watching on the left hand side of the Atlantic, tomatoes. I say tomato, you say tomato. Right, yep, good point. Excellent point. Tack tilde ogse. Yeah. Pronunciation, terrible. Thank you, Benny. Right, we'll leave it there. So once again, it is Earth Day today. And the point of this video was to ask ourselves a question: what can we do as gardeners to help protect and encourage and nurture the environment? We've got some really fantastic ideas from you guys in the live chat. If you're watching this video back later on when it's no longer being streamed out live, I really recommend somewhere up at the top right hand side of your screen, if you're on a laptop, or somewhere if you're watching it on a mobile, turn on the chats, because the knowledge that people are putting into the comments section is golden, right? Our collective mind, our collective brain as a gardening community on YouTube is bigger than the brain I've got in my oversized receding hairline forehead with my new haircut. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Look after yourselves, look after the environment, keep washing your hands, petal heads, right? And just thank you. So now it happens every time, because I don't live stream all the time. I can never remember how to do it. How do you end this? See you guys. End stream. See ya. Yeah, I do want to end the stream. That's why I clicked on end stream, you maniac.